very happy to welcome Ivneet from University of Texas at Dallas. The title talk is Passive Breathomics for Ultrasensitive Characterization of Acute and Chronic Respiratory Diseases using Electrochemical Transduction Mechanisms. Ivneet's a PhD student within the Department of Bioengineering. Primary focus of her research is to develop wearable platforms using the principles of micro and nanotechnology for breathomics-based technology. Published 3 papers as part of her PhD on the development of electrochemical sensors to disease diagnosis and monitoring. Welcome, and we look forward to hearing your talk. Thanks.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Ivneet Kaur Banga, and I am a PhD student in Biomedical Microdevices and Nanotechnology Lab at the University of Texas at Dallas. My topic for presentation here is today passive breathomics for ultrasensitive characterization of acute and chronic respiratory diseases using electrochemical transduction mechanism. And I am doing this research under the guidance of Dr. Anirban Paul, who is a postdoc who has been working with me on this project, and Dr. Shalini Prasad, who is my supervisor at the university. So the outline of this presentation, we're going to first talk about the background and significance of this research that we are doing, the sensing scheme and results. Herein, I'll be talking about the published work that I have done so far. And then we'll move on to the conclusion about what all data we collected and how it can be used for further applications. With why even worry about point of care diagnostics? As we can see from one of the sources of Fortune Business Insights, it was calculated that the diagnostic market size from 2018 till now, it's going to increase exponentially. The net worth will approximately be $6.25 million. And the global point of care diagnostic market, as you can see from 2018 to 2026, has increased tenfold. So this point of care diagnostic sensors, what exactly are they? They are diagnostic devices that are low in cost. They enable rapid decision making, and they can be done at the patient's bedside such that the patient can actually test themselves by their own, and they do not have to go to the hospital or wait in long lines or wait for results. They do not require trained personnel. It's as easy as a picking test. And it also gives the consumer choice and power over their health data and lifestyle choices by shifting the focus towards individual and their own needs and wants. So the different kind of health PPOC sensors that they have been developed so far, they target neurochemical sensors, blood pressure sensing devices, respiratory sensors, cardiac blood sensors, digestive sensors, etc. We'll be mainly focusing on the respiratory sensors in our research. So the background, right? How these respiratory sensors work. They work by monitoring the endogenous VOCs. VOCs are volatile organic compounds that are released inside the body due to the oxidative stress. The levels of these VOCs vary inside the body depending upon the endogenous metabolic pathway that occurs. Levels also vary depending upon the concentration of reactive oxygen species, the endotoxin release, the macrophages, how they work when they encounter any disease targeting cells, etc. So the approach then here that we need in order to target these endogenous VOCs that can be easily found in our breath, we need a sensor matrix that has 4 components. That is, we need to monitor its performance, comfort level, functionality, and economical costs as well. Current VOC sensing technologies that are available, we are going to compare them on the basis of sensor surface area, power consumption, and sensitivity. As you can see, in all 3 cases, for a sensing device to be available to the patient's bedside, the sensor surface area should be as small as possible, such that the patient can actually hold it in their hand. The power consumption, it should be very power friendly, and it should require low cost microprocessing controllers. Sensitivity, we would like to have sensitivity as low as parts per billion or parts per trillion. So all these criteria are fulfilled by electrochemical sensors in our case. So we'll be focusing on the development of an electrochemical sensor platform for the detection of volatile organic compounds in breath. Sensing scheme then, if we are to develop an electrochemical sensor platform, what all do we need and how do they work? In a typical electrochemical sensor platform, we have five main components. That is, first is the sample. In our case, it's going to be the volatile organic compounds in the breath. B, that is a recognition element. What is actually going to react with the VOCs and cause a change in the signal? That is our RTIL and the modified materials that we are going to be synthesizing. The interface is going to be the electrode electrolyte interface, wherein the sensor surface area that we'll be using is our interface. And the transducer is our electrode design that we designed in-house and has been copyrighted by our lab. Output is the transduction mechanism and the chronoamperometric signal, that is the electrochemical technique that we'll be using, which is based upon diffusion of the VOCs into the recognition element, causing a change in the interface. And that change is actually calculated by the transducer and displayed by the output. So this is how all these five units work together to actually cause a signal change and an output. So the strategies, right? How we are actually going to be detecting the trace volatile organic compounds, because they are present in parts per billion. That's really, really low concentration. So what we need to do is we need to collect air and particulate samples from or around the suspended object. That is, the person actually breathes in into the sensing device, such that we pre-concentrate that VOC molecules onto the sorbent material. Here, the sorbent material is going to be our modified material surface area. These adsorbed molecules are then released from the pre-concentrated and a signal change is caused, such that we analyze, characterize, and report the data in terms of basically if it's present or absent. This is characterized whether the concentration of the target compound is actually higher than a certain threshold or lower than a certain threshold, is how we characterize whether the VOCs or that underlying disease might be susceptible or present inside the human body in a higher concentration or lower concentration. So the electrochemical transduction mechanism, what all electrochemical techniques we'll be using to actually cross-validate our results is firstly electrochemical impedance spectroscopy, cyclic voltammetry, and chronoamperometry. All of these techniques we'll be using to monitor the electrode electrolyte interface. What is the electrode electrolyte interface? It is the area where your particles or VOCs diffuse, that you can see this is the diffuse layer that's present, and it causes a change in the Stern layer such that you can actually see a change in signal response. EIAs can be both Faradic and non-Faradic in nature. It captures the electrode electrolyte interface perturbation, and quantification of diffusion effects can be done based upon the impedance measurements. Whereas on the other hand, cyclic voltammetry and chronoamperometry, they are basically based upon a diffusion limited process, and you can study the diffusion behavior of the target VOCs, how they diffuse inside the RTL or the modified electrode surface area, and they cause change in the current measurements onto the surface that is quantified as a signal response. So chronoamperometry is a primary electrochemical transduction mechanism that we'll be targeting, and the other techniques we'll be using as a cross-validation method to show that our results actually support our hypothesis. So amperometry is solely based upon the Cottrell equation and the measurement of diffusion limiting current with respect to time, such that the potential is kept constant, is called amperometry, and it allows us to monitor the diffusion limiting current, and that current is directly proportional to the concentration of the analyte. And the first example of this amperometric sensor was demonstrated by Clark with this blood oxygen sensing device that he made. So all of these techniques then were used in the application and the production of these four papers that I'll be talking about in detail in my further slides. In these papers, we have actually demonstrated our hypothesis working and how it was used in problem solving or detection of volatile organic compounds at parts per billion levels. Electrochemical sensing performance matrix then. while developing a sensor, you need to target or hit these four matrices such that your sensor can actually be then used for point of care diagnostic development. Sensitive and selective. The sensing device should be sensitive to the target analyzed parts per billion range and specific DC bias voltages to maximize selectivity such that it is only selective to the presence of one target compound and is not cross-reactive to other species as well. High reliability, we'll be using dual techniques to verify the results so obtained. In our case, we'll be using amperometry or EIS to cross-validate the results. Rapid response. Since it is a novel structure that we'll be using, it permits rapid measurements such that the current can be detected at 5 seconds. Low cost and low power. The sensing device can be developed using low-cost batch fabrication, and it consumes ultra-low power microprocessors. So this is our proposed sensing platform. As you can see, it is an IoT-based device that is Internet of Things, wherein the data so collected is actually stored into the Google Documents, and that is further then extracted, and the results is obtained via the developed web app that we used. So the different target compounds that we'll be targeting and using for detection are methanol, ammonia, isopentane, carine, etc. All of these volatile organic compounds and inorganic gases, they have application or detection such that they can be used for screening of the presence or absence of any underlying respiratory disease or other conditions. These compounds can be found inside our breath at a certain parts per billion level, and their quantification, whether they are present or absent above a certain threshold, can be used for then a screening device such that further testing can then be recommended. So the criteria or the sensing mechanism can be both non-Faradic or Faradic, and the sample is going to be exhaled breath and exhaled breath condensate. The applications are going to be respiratory disease screening, medical practices, non-invasive disease diagnosis, and finally development of a breath analyzer that can allow multiplex sensing. So the point of care diagnosis, it allows evaluation of airway inflammation. Endogenously produced volatile organic compounds serve as biomarkers, and it also helps to determine the relationship of these biomarkers with the disease severity and lung function. And we're going to hit the parts per billion range for sensing. So the first and foremost paper that actually served as the basis for further development of the electrochemical sensing mechanism was characterization of room temperature ionic liquids to study the electrochemical activity of nitro compounds. In this paper, we just showed the proof of feasibility of using RTIL to detect nitroaromatic compounds that are actually present in explosives, or they can be used as a screening device for the presence or absence of explosives such as 2,4-DNT, 2,6-DNT, and ethyl nitrobenzene. These are the main compounds that are present for C4 explosives. And these are also volatile organic compounds in nature. So this served as a basis for development of a electrochemical sensing platform that can detect volatile organic compounds at parts per billion range or parts per million range. We worked for this as a proof of concept because environmental air sampling is much more easier as compared to the breath analyzer development. So we wanted to actually show that developing sensing platform actually works. So herein we used glassy carbon electrode, which was modified with Mafion and RTIL, which was then used for detection of nitroaromatic compounds, and square wave voltammetry was used as an electrochemical transduction mechanism. And we were significantly able to differentiate between 2,4-DNT and ethyl nitrobenzene because of the difference of two nitro groups that can be seen from the reduction peaks. Here, two reduction peaks were seen in NO2 group, wherein in case of ethyl nitrobenzene, only one reduction peak was seen, such that we demonstrate. So this was proof of concept demonstration of using RTIL for VOC sensing. Moving on, the first paper that actually showed the development of a handheld sensing platform and showed the results via the development of a low power portable microelectronic device was MATH. And in this paper, used this sensing device for detection of methanol vapor, both exogenously and endogenously produced. So the approach that we followed for the development of methanol sensor, the first part was characterization of interaction between RTIL and methanol. This we substantiated with the computational study wherein we actually show that the RTIL we selected is interacting with methanol via hydrogen bonding and is highly specific in nature. The second analytical characterization was done wherein we used AFM and FTIR to see the surface characteristics. AFM were used, and FTIR, we were actually able to see the interaction that computational study suggested. So we were both able to do on hand substantiation as well as computational study to support our hypothesis. The second part was the dose dependent response that was substantiated by chronoamperometry, chronocoulometry, and AIS. All three showed specific and selective response in a dose dependent manner for methanol vapor. The cross-reactivity of the system demonstrated the selective sensing nature of the Nafion at the rate RTL modified electrode. And finally, all of these data was used to show the development of a low-power microelectronic platform. This data was published in Electrochemica Acta paper. So I have shown the last part over here, wherein this is the research prototype that was used. This is the electrode design that we designed in-house in our lab. We use MStat Pico board as the potentiostat, and this was the device box that we use such that the methanol vapor were diffusing inside from here. We then compared the dose performances of math, that is our prototype, with respect to the benchtop potentiostat, and we got an R square of 0.99 for the three doses that we were looking at, low, medium, and high, such that the potentiostat, the benchtop potentiostat, and our device showed similar response. So how this device actually works is methanol vapor diffuse inside the microelectronic platform. We run the program on our mobile. The data is saved to Google Spreadsheet. And then that data is extracted by the developed web app such that it displays the diffusion current in the web app, wherein it will show whether the current value of methanol is between 1 to 200 ppm, that is the low range. The current value of methanol is between 200 to 1000, that is the medium range, and the current value of methanol greater than 1000, that is the highest range. That is the alarming range, if you can say. So we perform computational as well as electrochemical characterization to optimize, and we reported the electrochemical properties of Nafion RTL cross-linked polymeric network for detecting methanol, such that the developed electrochemical sensor platform can serve as a robust and sensitive for on-site detection. Moving on, the second paper here I'll be discussing is the development of a ZNOS. So ZNOS is the term that we coined, that is the ZIF-based electrochemical nose platform for non-invasive ammonia detection. So ammonia levels inside our body are regulated because of urea metabolic pathway, and increase or decrease of ammonia levels can be used as a biomarker for chronic kidney diseases. So herein we first, and this work was published by in ACS Applied Materials and Interfaces. So herein the first component was synthesis and characterization of ferrocene at the rate ZIF-8 material that we used. It is a hybrid composite that we synthesized, and we leveraged both the properties of ferrocene and ZIF-8 for targeting the lower concentration of ammonia. We did synthesis and characterization. Characterization was done by various analytical techniques such as XRD, SEM, FTIR. Then we showed the dose-dependent response, and finally the cross-reactivity of the system. So the synthesis scheme involved synthesis of ferrocene at the rate ZIF-8 composite, which was drop casted onto the working electrode surface of the sensor. And then RTL was used as an electrolyte to allow diffusion of the ammonia gas onto the electrode-electrolyte interface and cause a change in current and show a dose-dependent response. The successful synthesis and encapsulation of hybrid material was confirmed, and then that was further employed for ammonia sensing. So the successful synthesis was confirmed via XRD, wherein we can see overlapping peaks in both the base compound, that is ZIF-8, and ferrocene ZIF-8. Furthermore, the FTI spectra for ferrocene ZIF-8 and ferrocene ZIF-8 were compared, wherein we can see overlapping peaks in all the three, and that also supports our hypothesis. And the SEM images so obtained show the cubic structure of the ferrocene Ziffit compounds, which is the native structure of Ziffit that has been reported, and therefore it substantiated our hypothesis that we have successfully synthesized ferrocene Ziffit, and then we further used it for sensing of ammonia. So herein we first and foremost we use cyclic voltammetry to see at which potential is the target gas getting reduced. So we performed scan rate variation at 400 ppb, and we were able to see the change in reduction curves at this potential, which was further used, that is minus zero point -0.8 volt, and we used this potential to perform chronoamperometric measurements, and we were able to see a dose dependent response change from the target analyte gas. And the cross reactivity was performed in the presence of nitrogen, CO2, nitric oxide, heptane, and ammonia. As we can see, the sensor showed highest sensing response for ammonia. So in this study, we actually used an empirical synthesis approach. We characterized the synthesized materials and showed the successful synthesis, which was then further used for the application. So talking about the next paper, herein we synthesized a ZIF-based electrochemical ultra-sensitive screening device for isopentane analytics with a focus on lung cancer diagnostics. So herein, why we chose isopentane is that the concentration of these hydrocarbons, especially isopentane, increase or decrease inside our lungs, and as a result, they are released into our breath depending upon the reactive oxygen species and the oxidative stress inside the body in the case of lung cancer. So the approach herein again, we synthesized and characterized. This time we synthesized the material such that RTL at the rate Ziffit. We had RTL and Ziffit as a hybrid composite that was present. Characterization was done using various analytical techniques. Dose-dependent response and cross-reactivity of the system was again validated. And we also showed the proof of concept device for this platform. So the synthesis was done, the surface area of the electrode was modified, and the modified electrode was put inside an electrochemical cell such that the residual gas in and gas out was done for different concentrations, and the potentials that was used to apply the electrochemical transduction mechanism, and the output was seen in terms of chronoamperometric signal. So the XRD patterns again show the successful synthesis because we were able to see the overlapping peaks for ZIF8, RTIL, and only Ziffit. FTR spectra also showed overlapping peaks, and we were able to confirm that the RTIL is actually present as a hybrid composite with Ziffit. And the SEM showed the native Ziffit structure, as that it proves that the conformational change, the encapsulation of RTL does not cause any major conformational change for the native Ziffit structure. After the successful synthesis, we applied it. We used the material for the application and sensing of isopentane. We used chronoamperometry for sensing from 600 parts per billion to 12 ppm, and we saw a dose-dependent response. EIS was used to show low, medium, and high dose response. Again, it substantiated our results that we were able to see increased signal with increased dose response, and the cross reactivity showed the highest specificity for isopentane. And this then was further used for the development of a low power microelectronic platform wherein we targeted the low, medium, and high doses. We again used the web app to show the results in terms of whether it was a low concentration, medium concentration, or high concentration, such that it can be used as a screening device for further testing to be recommended for lung cancer, whether it's present or absent. And we were able to show 600 ppb as our limit of detection for this sensing device. So to conclude, right, our sensing platform can target both Faradaic and non-Faradaic. As a proof of concept, we showed environmental air sampling, and now we are working with body fluid in terms of exhaled breath and exhaled breath condensate. We developed the alpha prototype. That is the first testable prototype of a potential product, and our device is sensitive and specific to parts per billion levels of target analyte, and it correlates with the Henry's constant for gas, and it shows reduced variability, enhanced built-in redundancy. So references are our papers that I have discussed in this work. Acknowledgement. This is my lab, and this is my supervisor, Dr. Shalini Prasad, and I'm highly grateful to her to give me this opportunity to present my work and provide the resources to actually continue this research. I would also like to acknowledge the Department of Bioengineering and Eric Johnson School of Engineering and Computer Science. This is me over here, and these are my other lab mates. And I would like to thank all of them and my friends and family. You can actually connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. This is our handle. And in the end, I would like to thank Breath Biopsy Conference for actually giving me this platform and discussing my results and so obtained in terms of the breathomics field. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thanks for the presentation. So we've got time, maybe just 2 questions. One relates just to the thing of factors like lifetime of the sensors, sensor drifts, matrix effects, response to humidity. I was wondering if you could comment on some of those things which have been historically quite problematic for sensors like this.
So the main issue that we faced while developing these sensors, right, was the degradation of the material, and that's the absorbent material, particularly that absorbs the volatile organic compounds onto the sensor surface. And that's one of the reasons why we synthesized metal organic framework and used various hybrid composites for it. And so we tested the stability of the sensor over a period of weeks, and that data has actually been used in the papers and everything. So we were able to see a stable sensor response, and the data was compiled and statistically calculated for significant from the baseline to the threshold levels for the limit of detection study. So in terms of stability of the sensors were stable. Whereas on the other hand, if you talk about the effect of humidity and temperature and collecting actual breath samples, that is the study that is into the part 3 of this project. And that's actually part 3 of my PhD goal as well. Right now, we are just showing proof of feasibility, wherein these novel hybrid materials can actually detect these compounds in parts per billion range.
Excellent, thank you. And we have time for just one more from Mark. Since breath contains many more VOCs than were tested for with the sensor, and sensor signal obtained from the breath is additive due to multiple VOCs, will the sensor have appropriate resolution to detect ammonia or other individual VOC biomarkers, or will machine learning be implemented?
Yes, so to answer that, we will be using machine learning algorithm and we'll be doing multiplex sensing. And right now we're just focusing on targeting one compound and actually tuning the electrochemical sensor. I would like to highlight that ours is an electrochemical based sensor, wherein we target the redox potential of the interacting compound in such a way that only that specific compound interacts with our transducing material via hydrogen bonding, or let's say via electron transfer getting oxidized or reduced. So that's why we are making it highly specific in nature, such that when you apply that particular redox potential, only that compound is going to interact with it.
Excellent, thank you.
That's one of the properties that we are leveraging.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for the presentation.